Okay, so I decided to switch locations and to come on my phone because for some reason, as soon as I was getting ready to go live, my internet started acting up, audio started acting up. I don't know what's going on, but thank goodness for two options. So I'm gonna give everyone a chance to join back on that was just on the last video. I'm sorry if you weren't able to hear me on there. So I'm gonna give you all a chance to get back on. And unfortunately from my phone, I don't think I'm going to be able to hear see the comments as I was from the computer. So I'm gonna give you all a I'm gonna give us a chance to get back on. But in the meantime, from the last video, I actually deleted it since you couldn't hear me. I'm very excited to share this point of the journey with you all. Oh my gosh, it's been a very long journey. And I thank you to everyone who's been there from the absolute beginning when we first began this in 2016. So I'm very thankful for that support that's been received thus far and this process. So yes, all right. I see that we're all getting ready to start joining back in. Can you hear me now? Hopefully, can you hear me? Look, I'm looking at my computer too because I can see the comments and stuff from the computer. Okay, great. So you can hear me. So I'm going to give us about a good 15 more seconds and then I'm going to jump into today's live. I'm very excited to be sharing that pre-sale link with you all. And I actually want to dive into the book a little bit to share a little bit with you. I've had the chance to get the book out to a nice amount of pre-readers who've had an opportunity to read into the book and let me know some of their thoughts so far, their honest feedback, whether if they feel they relate to the story or even if they don't feel they relate to the story. And so it's been men and women giving that feedback, young and old. So I'm excited to be sharing this journey with you all. So to get us started, I would first like to say thank you again for those who have already began their pre-orders. So pre-orders have been released on Amazon and they're both available in the paperback version as well as the ebook version. And so the paperback version is listed as $9.99. And if you have Amazon Prime, you get that free shipping on there. If you don't have Amazon Prime, find a friend. And then you have the Kindle version, which is available for $5.99. But those who are with the Kindle Select, you can have that title for free as well. So make sure you check that out. I'll post the link as soon as I end the video for you all to check out on there. So now getting into our release date is March 10th. That's the official release date. And so whoever pre-orders, your book will be to you by that date. So no worry and no fears. And then on top of that, I plan on having a tour date schedule available for everyone in the near future. So I may be coming to a city near you. Of course, I'm going to start back home in my home state, Michigan. So that date will be sometime during the week of March 11th. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. So, okay, I see more people are starting to join. All right. So now I want us to get into the midst of the story. Okay. I've received a lot of different comments and feedback from individuals who have been pre-reading, and thus far they have been all great reviews. A few people have been stating how they feel that they've learned a lot about myself from the book because, as you know, They Never Told is a story about 4 adults who are survivors of childhood sexual assault, and they never told authorities or talked about their assault until they were older, in which a couple, this was their first time talking about it since it happened in the book. So you get a chance to see their journey and process from childhood into their adulthood with just various memories. And so it's labeled as a nonfiction novel. So it does have some stories are twisted a little bit in there to change for privacy of others. So that's in there to protect individuals, but it's all based on true people. So we have 2 men and 2 women of different ages, but they're all adults in this story. Okay. Now, I wanted to kind of open you up to a little bit of the reading into the book. So I'm going to read a couple pages into the introduction for you to kind of give you a good idea of the focus of the book and what we're looking at within the story. So my goal was to show you from the computer, but I'm going to show you from my actual phone. The book is actually made up of 10 different chapters, part 1 and part 2. So part 1 consists of the stories related to the individuals and their different memories. And then part 2 goes into potential solutions that we have for building stronger relationships with the youth in our lives so that they would want to come forward and talk about those things of abuse that may be happening to them. But then also ways that you can do some preventative work on building trust and relationships with youth around you that could potentially help prevent some of these things from happening as well. So there's a little bit of all of it for everyone. So chapter 1 in the book, if you can see here. Okay, so chapter 1 in the book is entitled I'm a Boss. And so this one kind of goes into our introduction of the characters and where their life currently is now today. Chapter 2 goes into I didn't ask for this. So in this chapter, they are now going into little pieces of them that, or stories that they may have found themselves involved in that they didn't ask for, and going into how nature kind of played its part within their life. Chapter 3, it discusses love. And so this chapter really focuses on each one of the individuals' journey of love and a different step within their life and how they may view love and relationships. And then the next one is Broken Pieces. And as some of you may guess, Broken Pieces is actually the chapter that goes into their actual assault. Now, although we are talking about the assaults within this chapter, they are done tastefully. They may be hard for some of you to read, but they are real. They're real life stories. That's the best way I can put it, but it is done tastefully to the point where teenagers could actually read it and they could get something from this as well. And then chapter 5 goes into their story of when they actually told and began to talk about their actual assault to someone. And then the next one goes into their journey. And so the journey kind of puts the entire picture into a circle, I guess you could say, to see exactly what got them to where they're at now. And then the second half of the book, this is the meat of the book, because you are able to take everything that happened from part 1 of the book and put it together for solutions. So we're not only talking about those things that have happened, the abuse or the children that were affected, but we're also looking at what can we learn from these experiences? What can we change? What can we continue to do that we may already be doing that we may not know that we're doing? And so chapter 7 begins to tell us fear versus trust. And I won't go too deep into that, but that fear versus trust of looking at those different mindsets that we may be having as our children are developing. Are you developing that sense of fear in the child around you, or are you instilling a sense of trust? And then I have chapter 8, and that is going into the things that we should keep doing. So what should we keep doing within our lives and the children that we are impacting on a day-to-day basis? But then what are some of the things that we can kind of tweak? And so that goes into chapter 9. And then chapter 10 goes into those building the supportive and encouraging environment. So what can we do as individuals to make sure that we're having a welcoming environment for our youth to be able to come to us and talk and speak? Because we may not even know it, but some of our actions may be pushing our youth away from wanting to come to us and talk. And so with that being said, I'm going to go into the introduction of the book. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you. And from the reviews so far from individuals, they've been sharing how much they've learned. I actually have my grandmother. She's one of the pre-readers, and we were talking earlier today, and she was just telling me, like, number 1, I didn't know. And then number 2, just kind of doing that self-evaluation of like, wow, I kind of do that. Or I didn't realize that that could have an effect in regards to why children may have not told, or even why I may have not talked to her about my assault when it happened. And it's not always your fault in a bad way. It could be that the child is feeling that they're trying to protect you as an adult. If they're afraid of what your actions may be after telling you. So there's a lot of different pieces that can go in with it. But this book is actually dedicated to my student. So what got me to begin this journey of writing the book, one day at work, I had a student, And I was coming from the office, and she was coming from the office, and I saw her, and she just looked like she was having a tough time. And so in that, something told me to just ask her how she was doing. And so I asked her how she was doing, and she just kind of looked at me and said, okay. But my spirit was just like, no, it's something more. It's something more. And so I said, are you sure? And she just looked at me, and I asked, would you like a hug? And she said yes. And I gave her a hug, and we literally hugged for, it had to be at least a minute straight, and she just began crying. And so in that hug, she began to just share with me what had been going on with her. She had shared that she was going through a process of, she was sexually assaulted by her father-in-law. And so she actually told, but then seeing the results of her telling and how it kind of affected the life with her and her mother and how it was affecting her, we were able to kind of just connect in that moment. And so from that point on, I found myself being that point of encouragement for her. So we became like pen pal buddies. And so although I knew it was hard for her to talk for her to talk about it, I just gave her a book, a journal, and with her favorite colors. And I'm like, you know what? I just want you to write however you're feeling. If you're feeling blue, write in blue today. If you're feeling happy, write in yellow. And if you want for me to read it, I am more than happy, and I would love to read it and be there for you and to be that piece of sanity for you. And to see that she was strong enough to come forward and talk. So I actually dedicated my book to her. And that dedication reads, thank you to my student who showed me strength and trusting and telling me her truth. And because of her, I was able to live in mine, because I realized, like, wow, I didn't have that strength to talk about mine when I was going through it. And I know some of us, there's more of us who didn't have that strength to kind of come out and talk because of different reasons, but she did, and it's like totally appreciated. And so that brings us to our introduction, page 1. And so I'm going to read us a couple pages out of this introduction to kind of give you an idea of what you can expect. So childhood sexual assault just so happens to be bigger than many of us can imagine. It can be considered the silent killer if unnoticed, or better yet, not addressed at all. Why is it called silent? It can be considered silent because it causes pain and hurt that can choose to rear its head at any time without notice. It becomes ingrained in your brain. It shapes your thoughts of not only yourself but others. It can eat your conscience and manipulate your thoughts and actions. It sometimes eats you most when you keep it to yourself. Sexual assault is a long-term issue in the world that does not receive as much discussion as it should. Over the years, we have heard an increasing amount of celebrities coming forward to speak about their own experience with childhood sexual assault and to speak as an advocate. Some of those celebrities include Terry Hatcher, Oprah Winfrey, Monique, Tyler Perry, Ashley Judd, and Queen Latifah. Although the abuse occurred during their childhood, they didn't talk about it until later in their adolescence and adulthood. This epidemic has affected people from various ethnicities, cultures, and walks of life. Guess what? Your best friend may have been assaulted if it wasn't you. That's something to think about, isn't it? Statistics say that about 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys are sexually assaulted before the age of 18. I believe that ratio is much higher than what's documented for our young boys due to the high stigma that has been placed on sexual assault and the male stereotype. The other disheartening fact is the estimated statistic that roughly 2 out of 3 sexual assaults go unreported. Yes, over 66% of cases are not reported. We would like to assume children will be quick to tell someone when they are hurt or faced with a confusing situation. The youth are so full of inquisition, wonder, and humility. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Definitely when it's someone you know committing the act. Yes, roughly 90% of sexual assault cases are committed by someone the victim knows. What's more saddening is this projection that victims are likely to experience another incident at another time in their lifetime. Why aren't our children telling anyone? What are we doing to not create a safe space for them to tell us such a deep secret? We have allowed fear to win over love when we're looking at the imbalance of statistics surrounding reports. It's believed that far more incidents occur than what is reported. This book shares more evidence to prove that point. Many of our children are not telling. And I'm going to stop us there. One point I would like to pull out here that's very big, because you're going to notice from some of the characters in the book, a couple, that they had went through more than one incident of sexual assault within their lifetime. and myself to be included within that. And it can come from whether how the first time it happened, or if that trust was there for you to want to share it with an adult, or it could come from if you saw nothing happen, so why would you want to tell or talk about it the second time or the third time? And so in my case, I consider myself a survivor. And that's one of the quotes I have within the book is every day you wake up, you have the choice to choose whether you're a victim or a survivor. And so although I have been a survivor of 3 sexual assaults in my lifetime as a child by 3 different incidents, so not the same person, I realized that although that has helped me grow and learn myself, it does not define me. It has helped shape me into the individual that I am and why I'm an advocate for this now today. And so in the comments, I'm going to share the link to the pre-orders. So you can find the pre-order on Amazon now. I have both the ebook on there, which is listed as $5.99, and then the paperback copy, which is listed as $9.99 on there. And so you can pre-order now. There will be no price changes. It's straight across the board. And as I said, if you have Amazon Prime, you get that free shipping. If you don't, or if you know someone else, you can use that too. But I'm excited to be able to share this journey with you all, and I'm thankful for everyone who has been so supportive along this way. To my best friends, most definitely, my dad, my grandmothers, you've been very supportive during this time and in the times when I just wanted to quit because there are many times when I wanted to quit because of how hard it was or how difficult it was just to write the book. I often tell people when they ask me, how long did it take to write the book? And I say, I feel it could have been done much quicker than what it was done, but I feel like it was done in God's timing and how long the universe felt that it needed to take to be done. But that first half of the book was the most difficult. So over the course of the year that it took for me to go through the process, I will say the second half of the book, it took me a little over 2 weeks to write. The rest of that time was for the first part because every time it was kind of re-traumatizing to be reading those stories, not only about myself, but the other individuals, because I know this is something that's going on today. I know this is something that my children at school, some of them are going through. I know this is something that, thank you. I know this is something that some of your children may be faced with or going through and that you may not know. And so it's important that we pay close attention to that and that we're open to it. So I won't keep you too long. I'll have the playback on here for you to listen to hear some of that introduction. I may be doing some other little pre-reads in the future. And I would like to thank you to those who have already pre-ordered the book. I am so thankful. You all are showing that this is something that needs to be talked about more and more. And this is only the beginning. For my audio people, I will be having an audiobook available as well before the release date. So there will be something there available for you as well. So don't feel left out. This is something that I want everyone to have access to because this is an issue that all of us is going through and that all of us have to deal with. And so if you have any questions, feel free to either put them in the comments or send me a question if you haven't. I'm very open to sharing it, whether if it's, I've had a lot of people ask me questions on writing a book since this process, as well as some individuals who've asked me to help them write a book. So I'm very much so open to answering those questions because this process is something that you need to have that support network there available for you. And so I'm just very thankful and grateful because if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have been able to get through this. So once again, thank you, and make sure you check out the comment section where I'm gonna post the link to the pre-orders for both the ebook and the paperback copy, and send me any questions. All right, I got you, sis. I got you. But let me know if you have any questions and we can get that rolling and going. I am excited to share this project with you all. So with that being said, as you all know, I do not like to be on here for too long because I want you all to be able to listen and read it. And well, not really read it, but I want you all to be able to listen to the live and see it all the way through. And so with that being said, I hope you all have a good night. Enjoy yourselves and make sure you check out the book in the comments. Thank you. And I'll talk to you later.